sort of care that we took to put in all those little detail scenes just to sort of give heightened storytelling and just visual oomph, you know. Really nice. I look back at them. Just a very solid episode. I'm very pleased with this episode. A lot of very ingenious little tricks that we had to do to sort of make everything hook up and function in this episode. Like when the house detaches, went from 2D to 3D, and right there when it comes back in, going from 2D to 3D. And we had to do a lot of varied animation to try and get these scenes to match up and the 2D to match up to the 3D. And it worked out quite well. You can tell the layout artists and the designers, everybody, are still trying to get used to the characters at this point. Sort of an intermediate stage for character design. And this character here, Truck Drivey. Pity we never brought him back. This is Bad Bad Rubber Piggy. I believe it was Eric Trueheart's first actual idea that was turned into a script. Very creative idea. Should have been a half hour. We ended up doing it as 11-minute. And really well written. I really like this script. Done by the Graham brothers and Dave Crocker. I forget why we had so many people on it, but it was great because it was a whole progressive show where things just get worse and worse and worse until the end when it just gets out of hand. And it was really just a wonderfully complex idea. We probably had more problems working with New York on this script and this show than any other one. Like here, this voiceover by Membrane. This was added later on after the show was basically animated because they thought that people wouldn't understand what was going on visually. They couldn't understand any of this. And all those chyrons saying, you know, past, present, and what was in the past and present and future was it wasn't in the animation. That's all 3D. That portal's 3D. There was a lot of 3D to be composited in this show. So when we got it back, we had to put in like chyrons. We just threw chyrons over top of the entire scene, and the executives could not understand what was going on. They couldn't understand that those chyrons were just there as placeholders and were supposed to be put into those screens. So we spent hours and hours and hours. This is the worst part of Zim, I think, at this point, when this was going through post. Jonah and I were in meetings constantly. In meetings forever. The most annoying thing, we couldn't work on the show anymore. We couldn't draw or tell people what we need from the show. We just had to let the crew almost run. And by this point, they were doing episode 13, Battle of the Planets and upwards. And I think you can see actually a dip in quality at that point in those shows because we weren't around to give any advice to the crew or to work out problems or do anything. We were in meetings over this episode. Which, to tell you the truth, the changes that were done to this episode by the executives were very minimal. And I know they felt that they fixed this thing, but those chyrons were always supposed to be there. So they felt that they had come up with that idea. The color correction that went on with these scenes in the past and such, that was supposed to be there as well. But they would ask us to do it, and we'd have to spend an hour waiting for them to come up with the idea when we already had it, and we were doing it. And the voiceover stuff, we knew we had to do some voiceover to make stuff play, but I don't think we needed as much as they got us to do. And a lot of it, Jonah would just turn into a joke. It really didn't meet their needs. But amazingly, a lot of kids really liked this episode. People were not confused about this episode, which we were assured that people would be confused over this episode, at least in New York's idea or concerns. And it was a complex episode. I absolutely understand what their problems were, but their problem was that they never could see the final work. They were always looking at bits and pieces. And they did help us refine some bits of storytelling here and there, the New York people. But it was, at one point, I got the feeling that they really hated this episode altogether, and they kind of wanted to scrap it. That was really quite a nice dramatic episode. And quite funny. Time travel is one of the worst things to do. After this episode, I said I don't want to ever do a time travel episode again. Really confused the upper echelon of Zim. It's great to see Coco Fang cereal come back into the picture. It's kind of weird, isn't it, that when the past changes, Dib's memory doesn't change. Just everybody else's perceptions and memories change. This was the first sequence of Bloaty. Bloaty then later came back in Bloaty's Pizza Hug. And showed up again and again in later episodes. Look at all those complex light effects. We had so much going on in all this. Such a complex series. Now that it's almost over, it's sort of a shame it never went anywhere, but oh, it was so complex. I'm glad it's over. So, Jonan again adding this hit to the tree. Really great that he does these little violent escapades with the characters interacting with the environment. Overall, this episode was pretty well done. Wasn't as well done as it could have been, but not bad. Some of this horribly violent stuff that you just can't get away with. I'm surprised we got away with this sort of stuff. Usually Nickelodeon hates this sort of brutal tragedy. And Dib really gets disgusting by the end of this series. It's, always has teeth dropping out of his head. It was great to play off the whole story, too, against those pigs. Originally, I think there was a little bit more into the script about that hunter-killer robot. Zim kept making different robots to send through to Dib, and each one would get, rejected. I think he had 4 or 5 trials of different robots going into the portal, and they would just get chewed up. I know here you just see one get shot out. And it was pretty redundant now I look back. It was good. It's fine. He just threw one in, and then he, when that robot was rejected, he threw the Piggy at the portal. Ricky's voice is so great as this Bigfoot kid. This is Dave Crocker's work. Dave Crocker had boarded this whole sequence. Somewhere around here I started boarding. I did a little bit. I did the Death of Dib sequence, which I wanted to string out. I thought it was brilliant, which is usually how Eric's scripts were. You'd have these really nice stories going on, at least in his early scripts, and all you need to do is just punctuate the climax of the story for him, and it was there. Yeah, so I think I was doing all this. I had a lot of problem getting that lifeless Gur past New York too. The executives, I think, thought that it was too emotionless, very frightening. All these monitors that we had to composite, really difficult. This was a lot of work for the 3D department to just make this simple show.